Oh, hi there.
Oh, hey, how you doing? It is incredible the reception that you get here. Like, I'm like, whoa, whoa. So for
George
those of
right
us who
now.
are
Go
okay,
ahead.
hi. Okay, so hi, welcome back to our podcast. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, George.
This is the MOACA Media Podcast, and for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, you can tell that I am a potato. Oh, filling in for
This is
George. George has
hilarious.
a potato. So the reason why I did this was because of that article that went around last week. And so like this is kind of like, you know what I realized? Our show is kind of like
What?
that John Oliver show last week tonight because it premieres on a Monday. So he talks about everything that happened the week before the Monday. So it's like it already happened.
Oh, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's
true.
kind of like that vibe, right? And
Yeah.
so last week the article went around the internet of the woman who I guess like downloaded this Snapchat filter camera for her PC, turned herself into a potato and couldn't figure out how to take it off.
Right. That's right.
And I thought it was hilarious, so I figured I would download the app, play around with it, and then I decided to surprise Carlos with myself as a potato
And
in this
it is
episode.
absolutely hilarious. I haven't laughed that hard in a very long time. I'm not that was
I
you
was
got me on
nervous.
that one, man.
Carlos, I was nervous. I feel like you were a little upset for like 30 seconds.
No way. Are you kidding me? I was laughing so hard. I love it,
You were
dude.
like,
No way.
dude, stop. Dude, stop.
Well, it's just creepy, but in a funny way. I like I wouldn't be able to do a whole episode like that.
Yeah, so this is just to encourage and to promote our YouTube channel. We really love that you guys listen to us and join and have us join you on. Well, I mean, you're not really going anywhere anymore, but you know, for those of you who are still listening to us and want to like break that up, check us out on YouTube because you know we record these sessions and you can see Carlos's beautiful face. What a mug! What a guy! And
And
me as a potato.
right. Not so bad
Wait,
yourself, potato.
didn't you have a joke with Barbie that you're like, you're my potato, I'm her potato?
Yeah, we just called each other that. It was just a nickname. I don't even remember how it came about. But yeah, somebody from the gym, her and I, we called each other that and it just stuck.
Are you
I
a
forgot.
fan of potatoes?
I'm a huge fan of potatoes.
What are your
Um,
top 3 favorite ways to eat a potato?
oh man. I think I think a baked potato is my number one.
Like
With all the stuff, and then
so, like butter, sour cream, cheese, bacon,
yes,
chives.
yes,
Yeah, got it. Uh-huh.
everything. Um, and I say mashed potatoes second, and then just chopped, baked, with some butter, or yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What about you?
French fries.
Mm-hmm.
Love French fries. I love like all the unhealthy ways of eating a potato. I love French fries. I love potato chips, and I love so right now I'm obsessed with hash browns.
Ooh, yeah, you were having that the other day when I called
Mhm.
you.
So if I'm gonna give away my secrets, I really shouldn't do
Okay.
this because it's I mean it's a secret, but I'll tell you, and then I'll become a regular boy. Uh,
Okay.
Publix sells frozen shredded potato already like done. So you throw it into a pan with like olive oil and salt, and then you just let it fucking sit there until it like crisps up on the bottom, and then you flip it and you have hash browns, and it's like 10 minutes, and it's so good.
That sounds amazing. That
Thank you
sounds
very much,
amazing.
and good night. Oh hey,
You're back.
I'm back.
Look at that handsome face.
Here I am.
There you are.
Yeah, I shaved it. I decided to wake up, and since today is my last day at 40 years old,
That's
um,
right, dude.
yes,
Tomorrow's your birthday.
we
This is
have
Monday, April 6th.
yes
And your birthday's tomorrow, April
tomorrow.
7th.
And I want to just go ahead and thank everybody that wished me happy birthday today, because they clearly misunderstood the post that I posted on Instagram. Somehow they thought today was my birthday. And today's like goodbye 40, which means tomorrow is hello 41. But whatever. So before, you want to like do like a quick, like let people know who we're bringing on?
Yeah. So we have our guest. He's already in the waiting room.
Okay.
So I'm texting him now.
Yeah, guys, so this is like an evolution, right? Like, so last week we had Danny already on, then Carlos and I talked, and now we're just like doing this like little pre-show, and then the next segment we'll have our guest on, who's like has had like a really interesting life and has like very unexpected, I mean, he's got an unexpected career, that's for damn sure. Like, I don't know anybody who does what he does. And when I found out that he's the person who does that thing that he does, I was like, oh, snap. So I can't wait for you to introduce him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This podcast is not sponsored by Bubbly or Ghirardelli chocolate, which is delicious. Please send us an email to
fucking delicious. Well, I've enjoyed this intro as a potato, and I hope that everyone who's listening will watch the YouTube video because it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah, so we have our second guest, and he's actually our first guest that is approaching 40. Oh, he's already 40. Sorry. So he's our first 40-year-old guest. And yeah, his name is Michael Mendez, and he's a big contributor to the community here in Miami. And he is, along with his brother, I believe, which we'll find out more, is the owners of Mendez Fuel. And we'll talk more about it now. So you ready to bring him on?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just gonna do this quick little thing here. I think this is gonna be better for me. Yeah. Okay.
All right. There you go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's see. Should be coming on in any second.
Oh, it's like that. Well, then if that's do that, then I'm gonna do this.
Mike, can you hear us? He's got to turn on his audio.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can turn on your audio. Let's see.
I came to party.
You came to party for sure. Let's see. He's figuring it out. Dude, yeah, if he's going to wear the mask, you need to wear that, dude. That is hilarious, bro. Oh, man. You're not getting sound. Hold on. Let me help him out here. Yeah.
Stretching.
Stretches. He's connecting. You're just doing your stretches?
Yeah.
You're just doing your stretches there?
Oh.
Mike, can you hear us? It said it was connecting the audio. Can you hear us? No. The mask is awesome, though. Yeah, he's figuring out the audio. So, man, I miss you as a cucumber, man.
It was a pickle.
I mean, you're right. It was a pickle. Sorry.
Pickle. I identify as a pickle. I don't identify.
You identify as a pickle? All right, let me see. I'm gonna text him real quick, see if he needs some help.
That's fine.
There's
a learning curve with new technology.
Yeah. Oh, I hear something there.
Yes.
Oh!
Hear me?
Yeah, man. What's up, dude?
I don't know. I had to disconnect from my AirPods.
Oh, hey, man, that's good. So for those of you that are listening and don't watch the YouTube, Mike showed up with a face mask. How appropriate. How appropriate was that, dude?
In today's times.
Yeah, dude. And then George quickly switched over to a pickle. We are embracing the COVID and Zoom culture.
Oh, I hear you now even better.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
All
we're
right.
embracing the COVID-19 / Zoom / Tiger King culture is what we're doing.
I'm just living out my best life here.
Nah,
Yeah,
you should
dude.
just stay like that the whole time, Joe.
I'm like 2020 is fucking crazy, so why not just spend the rest of the year living like a pickle?
Who's gonna judge you, man?
So,
Do my
ladies and
stretches.
gentlemen, we have Michael Mendez. I've always called you Mike. People call you Mike, right?
Yeah, people call me Mike, Mikey, asshole.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You know,
All right. Well,
Mendez.
asshole over here.
Yeah.
All right. He at the current moment. Well, so I'll basically go through a brief history. We actually went to high school together, and I believe that we graduated together, right?
Yep, 97. Class of 97.
97. Yeah, class of 97.
Yeah.
And lots has happened since, which we'll get into. But currently, he is one of the owners of Mendez Fuel here in Miami, and yeah, he's a father, a husband, a fellow MOACA, and yeah, and George, you know Mike too, right? Or no?
We just met.
You just met
right now as a pickle.
Yeah.
I met George back in my CrossFit heydays before my retirement.
Oh, dude, that's right. Yeah, man. So you did CrossFit too at some point, huh?
I did in the Gables. That's where I met George back in the IM CrossFit days.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, it was like that was it's crazy how long it's been when you think about it, because it has been like it's been 10 years since I started that whole thing, and it doesn't seem like that much time has passed, but yet here it is. You're like 10 years later. Like I don't even want to have you. Well, I don't know. Let me just that's how we know each other from CrossFit Gables.
Correct. Yeah, man. Crazy. You know, from that time to where I'm at now in life, it's crazy. You know, back then I was single, to now I'm married with 3 kids. You know, so just how time flies.
Wow, dude, that's amazing, man. 3. You know what? I thought you had 2. You have 3 kids. How old are they?
I got a 5-year-old little girl, Alexandra, a 3-year-old little boy called Parker, and a little girl that's about a year and a couple months called Francesca. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It's definitely this quarantine test all your levels of patience. I'm about to come out of my own Tiger King show for feeding my kids to the tiger. But you know, really more than anything else, it's hats off to my wife for she's had to become a Montessori teacher, a regular teacher, and on top of that, you know, obviously with the little one, because I'm still going to work every single day, but it's been really challenging to say the least, especially for her. So
wow, man. Yeah, I can imagine. That's a lot with the whole parents, having to be there, and people working from home, and also being there for their kids for the educational portion. You know, that's crazy. So in amongst all of the craziness with the coronavirus, your business keeps going.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and it's bad in the sense where, you know, financially it's not good. We're up and running at this point, really kind of to service the community. We're still allowed to operate. So we've kind of become more of a, you know, there's a couple of reasons we're still open. Number one is obviously to give my employees jobs and to continue being able to afford to pay them. So we're you know, I sent a memo 2 weeks ago within the company. I have about 42 employers in that. And I said, you know, these are crazy times, everybody has to kind of get on board. You know, I'm effectively not paying myself moving forward. All the executives, which are my brother and my other general manager, will take a 25% pay cut, and everybody will have to kind of cut hours, especially since we're getting rid of the overnight shift, and kind of blend in and hopefully giving everybody enough hours to be able to live. And
Yeah.
you know, everybody got on board real quick, which is great. And we were able to give everybody enough hours. So as of right now, we haven't had to lay off anybody, thankfully. So, you know, we're running, we've made a lot of modifications very quick. We're actually, two things will happen this week, which I never thought I was going to do, which is, number one, we will start effectively delivering beer and wine within everybody's certain zip codes within the radius of our stores. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be driving around all day. That's why I didn't want to do this ever, because I knew I was gonna be stuck driving.
Well, at least there's less traffic, dude.
That is definitely a plus. And gas is cheap. Man. And gas is cheap right now.
Right. So, right. That's good. No, that's good, man.
And then the second is we've always been very socially responsible within our community. So we are actually going to set up, hopefully we'll get going a little bit by tomorrow, but I think by the rest of this week, my goal is to serve 150 meals a day to anybody who's in need. They can come by the store and we'll have them pre-done and ready. Nothing fancy, but, they'll be there and be able to, people can just come in, pick them up and go. And so that's something that I felt that was something we needed to do. And at the same time, I have enough employees that we can, with time to kill, really. So this will be a cool way for us to kind of get involved and get back and give back to our local area. So I mean, it's been challenging, but it's also forced us to think outside the box, forced us to do things a little bit differently. My employees I'm in a very ordinary business that we try to be a little bit different every day, but now we're really trying to be different. We're selling toilet paper like it's crazy. Like we're selling face masks, which I effectively actually stopped selling them like 2 weeks ago because I felt bad because none of the hospitals had them. So I was like, I can't sell masks if the hospitals don't have them. So we stopped selling them. And we gave them away. So I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike, so for people who don't know you, like Carlos had his origin story episode. I did mine. And can you just kind of like walk all of the listeners and viewers of this episode kind of like that? So you've told us where you are today in this crazy moment. So let's rewind the tape a little bit and tell us how a guy like you ends up running a craft beer, healthy food gas station.
Yeah. So
love that.
Yeah. So we'll go way back to 1997.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. MOACA years.
I end up at Westminster Christian.
Yeah, you did.
Strictly for baseball purposes. Just because I'm a good Christian boy too. So I ended up over there, and actually I went to public school my whole life except my last 2 years to Westminster. But long story short, I went there. I ended up thinking I was going to be in the major leagues one day. Obviously, I was an incredibly naive person. In that back in those days, I was talking like, when I'm in the big leagues, like if I was talking like if I was already happening,
Right.
you know, and then life hits you. I played college, several injuries. I finished out playing at FIU. Later, fast forward, you know, I was fortunate. I came out of college and my first job was actually really kind of interesting. I ended up working for Danny Johnson. So Danny Johnson is the ex-wife of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Mhm.
When I start working for them, they're married. And so I started doing financial services. She is a financial services guru, incredibly respected in the industry. I don't know how the fuck I got this job, but I got this job.
Nice.
I graduated with a history degree, and I end up in a financial firm. So whatever. Long story short, I passed my Series 7. I get my broker's license. I still don't know dick. Like, I don't know a thing. So I stick it out with these guys for several years. Well, long story short, myself and Dwayne, The Rock, end up becoming buddies. And buddies in the sense where, like, I was really like a gopher for him.
Right.
I would just like literally hang out with him all day.
Right.
You know, those times where he like would invite, he was like, "Oh, come over to the house and just, you know, I need to put my CDs into my iPod." This was literally like the original iPod.
Still,
Yeah.
or is he?
No, he's doing movies. This was his movie era. Was at that point he had done. He already had done Scorpion King.
Okay.
He already had done a couple movies. He had the one that he had just finished wrapping was the one where he's like the prison coach for the kids. I forgot what it's called, but that was a movie he had just wrapped, and he was actually on hold for a year with Sony for a movie called Spy Hunter that never got off the ground. So literally, he got paid for a full year of his work, but it never got off the ground. So he just hung out for a year.
With you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
This was like the original.
That's crazy, dude. That's amazing.
The original iPod. You know, where you have to put your CDs in and then like download them over. Like that was that time. And so, you know, we would spend hours literally, and he's obsessed with Elvis. So this guy had like this incredible like library of Elvis, and we would just go through all that. And then it got to the point too where, for whatever reason, he started trusting me with his clothing. So he would like fly me to LA sometimes to go shopping for him, which was fascinating. So,
well, I have to interrupt you. I have to interrupt you for a second because that is something I don't know. You must know that when we were in high school, that's one of the things you were known for. You are currently, but you know, we're going to get into that as far as like fashion and being 40 and everything. But you know that people always recognize that you had a great sense of fashion. You know this about yourself or no?
No, I mean, I know that I'm definitely in the metrosexual world of that. I fall into that category for sure. I'm very, you know, as I've gotten older, I've probably gotten more toned down into what I like, and I know now. Back then, I was a little bit more daring, I think, but
How
either
many
way.
Von Dutch hats did you own?
How many what?
Von Dutch hats did you own?
Oh man, I probably had like the whole series. the whole series.
Okay, so
And
Dwayne Johnson is
Tom,
trusting you with his clothes, and you're going shopping for him in LA.
So I'm going shopping for him. I'm doing that, and then, you know, at the same time, I'm like pretending to be in financial services. So whatever. Long story short, I ended up with this interesting niche that I created out of default, and I started to really understand the whole nonprofit world. So The Rock basically handed over to me his foundation to get it off the ground. And at the same time, Danny, his wife at the time, also was getting a foundation off the ground as well. So that really kind of took a lot of my time in that world is getting these two nonprofits going. Both were completely different. The Rock's idea that I started was really, since he is actually the #1 wish granter in the world for Make-A-Wish.
Really?
Wow.
he's actually, honestly, man, like I've never seen somebody so genuine with people in that world, which I got to meet a lot being around him. Dude, this guy really, like, we would be at dinner. Like, I'll give you an example. We'd be at dinner or lunch or whatever, and people would come up to us and be like, hey, you know, can I get your autograph, Rock, and all this stuff? And he'd be like, you know, let me finish eating. And when I finish eating, I'll find you. Oh, whatever. You know, an hour goes by, an hour and a half, and we would get up to leave. And I would see him. He would go and find every single person and go up to them, take a picture with them, talk to them, spend a few minutes with them. And he's like that. He's just one of those genuine, just like cool people that really cares about people. So
That's
with
awesome,
Make-A-Wish, he was like that. He was the #1 wish granter. So what we did is I created what's called the Rock's Toy Chest. So we would go around and put in different hospitals throughout the country this toy chest that we would then have partnerships with different toy companies, and they would fill it. So kids that were staying in the hospital for X amount of time get an opportunity to go to his toy chest and pick a toy. And that's kind of like where we started with that, and then
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
it was cool. It was interesting, you know, talking to like Mattel and like these like huge toy companies, and you know, here's Michael Mendez, the little Hispanic kid from Miami, like, yeah, you know, can I get some GI Joes? So it was a cool time. And then, you know, the market crashed and I got fired, and all of a sudden I went from like flying in private planes and living the life in Hollywood and Calabasas next to the Kardashians, and all of a sudden I'm without a job back in Miami, you know, with my tail between my legs, obviously embarrassed. You know, the economy's falling apart. There's nowhere for me to find a job.
What were you embarrassed about?
You know, it's just like I was at the top of my game. You know, I was 20 at this time. I'm like 26 years old, 27 years old. I thought I had the world by its balls, and you know, the world grabbed me by the balls and said, "No, dude, here you go. You know, here's a dose of some humble pie." And and it was incredibly humbling. You know, at the time I was living with my best friend, which Carlos knows very well, Javi Lopez, and you know, Javi went to Harvard, George Washington, and his career starting to take off. And here I am, literally trying to like find rent money. Mortgage money, and try to, you know. So then I kind of started to become, you know, the next, one of the typical Miami careers, and an entrepreneur. That everybody likes to put. It's either like, you know, what is it, a realtor or an entrepreneur?
Right.
So,
that's right.
yeah. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm literally I start pretending to work. Like, you know, I would literally come get out of my bed and walk to my office, which is my desk in front of my bed, and sit there like hoping for something to happen. But, you know, like everything, there's a silver lining. No, you know, at the time too, one of my best friends, his name is Alex Abril. So Alex owned all these high-end women's boutiques throughout South Miami, Studio Lex, Blush, Market. I'm sure you guys are kind of familiar throughout the years. They've been around for probably like 25 years.
Yeah, well, definitely.
So Alex and I become really like inseparable. Alex was 10 years older than me at the time. And he really kind of helped me in several fronts, but more than anything else, we had the best time. And the silver lining in all that was that, you know, about 4 or 5 months after I get laid off or fired, he gets diagnosed with brain cancer. And, you know, what was crazy, you know, is that I had all this time to spend with him. So it was the silver lining in losing my job was that one of my closest friends is going to die in 18 months. and I got all the time in the world to spend with him. And we did that. We literally did that, exactly that. We spent almost every single waking moment that we could just hanging out and spending time together, going out. Like there was no, like, he would literally take his chemo pills. We would be in Casa Tua, 2 hours later, like if nothing happened. And it was like a champ, and it was interesting. And, at the same time, it's kind of where I reconnect with my wife now. And so that whole like year and a half was I learned a lot. I came out of that married. I lost the best friend, but I learned so much. I fell in love.
How
got
old
married.
Are you at that moment?
I was 30 when it all ends up falling apart with him passing away. I was like 31, 32. So yeah, I think I married at 32. Yeah, I'm 40 now. So yeah, I was like 32, 31, 32. He dies. So on the day of my wedding, he couldn't go because he was already in hospice. So myself and Javi, my best friend, my best man at the time for the wedding, we went like 2 hours before my wedding and fully in our tuxes and all that, and we were able to spend time with Alex there with him in his bed, and he was already kind of touch and go at that time. And his daughter, which crazy enough, she just got married about 3 weeks ago in Cartagena, and that was actually pretty special to go to.
That's amazing.
So she went to the wedding in his place for his dad. So I got to dance with her, and the wedding was over. The next morning, I get a call from his daughter, and she was 18 at the time, and she tells me, she's like, he's not talking anymore. So I looked at my wife and I said, we have to cancel our honeymoon or postpone it. And she was obviously awesome about it, and she's like, yeah, absolutely, no questions asked. And she's like, go. And so we canceled. He died the next day, and and it was an interest. Like, again, it was I look back at it and I learned so much from it. And it was an interesting time as well. And then what was great is that we got to leave on our honeymoon about a week later, so it was a great time to kind of disconnect from all that heavy world, and spend time with my wife and do that and start a different life, So
wow, yeah.
So no, man, that's a very cut up version of 1997 to up to now.
So then Mendez Fuel comes about.
So that's I end up buying from Javi's dad my first gas station, which is the one on 32nd and Corway. So my favorite one, by the way. Right. It's everybody's favorite one.
Wait, so great. I have questions, because I'm like, you have this, when I am in the presence of somebody who has had a very different path to their 40, I get curious, because mine to me is very linear. Like, I went to school, I went to another school, I got a job, I did that job for a while, and now I have another job, and then I got married, and I'm also gay. Yeah. Like, my fun thing. But but yeah, so like, to be unemployed and then to use that time to have these very, very like emotionally impactful moments with people who mean a lot to you at a relatively young age. Because I mean, regardless of what we say, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of an adult now for the first time. And everything that kind of happened before I got here was just me like just fucking trying to figure it out. And 32, well, we were like really not trying to figure out shit. It was, like, it was just fucking happening.
Adulting done wrong.
I mean, you don't even know what the fuck's going on. You're just like, and if you live in Miami and you're going out all the time, you definitely don't know what's going on.
For sure.
And so, but you're having all these things happen to you. So it's clearly like laying some sort of foundation in the way that you're thinking about things, in the way that you probably think about things now. And so like, you you're an entrepreneur, which like, this is like, I mean, I don't know how you make things from nothing. Like, what is that like? Like, how do you decide that you're going to go into buying a gas station?
So it's funny you say it. So I actually skipped over a part there when you bring this up, is that, so about a year after I get fired, and even though I'm spending all this time with Alex, I end up deciding that I'm going to buy a restaurant in Palm Beach, which I do. I buy this QSR, a quick serve restaurant, which is essentially like a spin-off of a chicken kitchen in Jupiter, Florida. But mind you, I'm still living here. So every day I was getting up and driving my ass to Palm Beach. So it was an up and running restaurant already. It was making money. So it was like kind of like a turnkey situation to a certain degree. I knew nothing about restaurants, nothing whatsoever. Whatever. I was like, fuck it. I got nothing else to do. I'm gonna buy this.
Hold on. What do you think like gives you that kind of like blind confidence to be able to be like, I'm gonna just throw like, and I'm sure it was, I mean, I'm not gonna try to put evaluation on your business, but when you're buying a restaurant, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
No,
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking like the day to day, like the going in and saying like, how do you like even
like, I have a hard time buying $500 shoes, like
I was definitely ignorant, incredibly ignorant. I was like, fuck it, I'll figure this out. It can't be that hard. Obviously, I was, just naive, young, dumb. Just like, this is, I'll make this work, and it's perfect because it's making money. I don't have to be there all the time as a manager, and I can still hang out here, and I can do my MBA at the same time. That was the other thing I was doing at the same time, was my MBA. My grandmother was like, when I got fired, she's like, well, if you go back to school, I'll pay for your MBA. I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll go do it. Not really thinking twice about anything. I was like, I'll figure it out. And whatever, I figured it out to a degree. I figured out that I never wanted to buy a restaurant again in my life. I definitely figured out.
Nice.
Well, in the middle of all that, Javi's dad is selling 32nd and Corway. Javi tells me in passing, he's like, oh, my dad wants to sell a gas station. I look at him, I'm literally like, hey, let's buy it together. Mind you, again, naive, dumb, no fucking idea what the hell. And he's like, nah, I don't want to get into that business. I said, all right, I mean, I'll tell my dad. I think it would be good for my dad, kind of like for, a good retirement type gig for him. I tell my dad, he's like, oh, okay. Whatever. Long story short, my dad's dragging his feet, being a little bitch about it. And I'm like, fuck it. I call Javi's dad, and literally within 20 minutes, we made a deal. And nothing. We made a deal, and I was like, okay, I have to get financing, which I've never done in my life. We'll make a contingent upon that. He said, all right, cool. Obviously, because it's Javi's dad, he was cool with it. Mm-hmm. If it was anybody else, I think he would have told me to go fuck myself. But whatever. So we made the deal. I end up buying. It's crazy. I end up buying the gas station. And they sent me to mobile school. It was a mobile gas station. So I had to go 2 weeks to Virginia to learn how to like run a gas station, which in hindsight was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So they sent me to mobile school in Virginia. I'm over there for 2 weeks, learn that whole business, come back, take over the station. And honestly, I really still didn't know what the hell I was doing. But whatever, I got in there. I started just like playing around with different ideas, different concepts, knowing very quickly that I needed to change the norm. Adapt social media, which had never been done before in a gas station. We're talking now 2010. Think about that. I mean, this is like, Facebook was kind of cool. At the time, Instagram really didn't even exist. And maybe right. if it did, I didn't fucking know about it because I'm not that techie. Twitter, I remember Twitter was around, and like I had a guy that I would pay like $20 to tweet for me through the Mendez Fuel. And And dude, I was just like trying to figure it out, and then I bought 3 more a year later. And what's crazy about that is that Assis, 6 months after I buy him out, gets diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and he passes away 6 months after that. So it was crazy. And that whole world too, you know, Javi's dad was like a dad to me as well. So, you know, this is a guy that, you know, I don't know if you ever met him, Carlos, Javi's father, but he was, you know, in his funeral, there was over 3,000 people. And we're talking about a guy that you would see on the street and you never think he impacted so many people, and quietly. That was the biggest thing about him. Humbly, he helped so many people, and quietly. And all these people showed up. There was a line. It was so impressive and such a tribute. And then you start wondering about your own life. Like, fuck, if I die, who the fuck's going to show up? Is it going to be a line? Or is it going to be people trying to kick my coffin, like, down the fucking street? Like, you know? You start feeling like, man, what an asshole I am, really. So it was interesting. And, you know, I hate to be like a fucking Debbie Downer, but I'm definitely bringing up too crazy. But it kind of all intertwines to my life kind of coming together. And maybe that's why I look at things. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. You know, I don't think too much into things when I'm making a decision. I feel like, you know, we'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out. You know, I started a barricade company a year and a half ago, and I'm like literally like Bob's Barricades. We're making barricades and closing streets and making street signs. It's called Trafico. And dude, you know, year 1, we did over like $1 million in revenue, and I have no fucking idea how. Mind you, we're broke. We have no fucking money, but you know, we were able to bill over $1 million in revenue without having any clue what the fuck we're doing. But I kept looking at this business and feel like, who the fuck is this guy Bob, and why is he the only guy? And you know, and like, no. And
that's like, how people end up dead in the street. Mike, you gotta be careful of talking shit about Bob.
Well, you know what?
Fucking mafioso allí, and the next thing you know, you're being drug out at the middle of the
What's
street.
Interesting
getting hit with one of your own traffic cones telling you, like, this is Bob, message from Bob.
For sure. Well, what I learned is Bob is actually, his name is Happy Alter. And he lives in Broward. I swear to God, Google this guy. Happy Alter. Google this guy when you get a moment. If you want to do it right now, you'll get a good kick. And nothing, man. This guy is turned in an empire. So now, man, you know, that's kind of how I've gone about things. I've been lucky, you know, very, very lucky. I've definitely had my ass handed to me a few times. But you know, that's life, no? It's never gonna be pretty.
So people say that luck. You say you're lucky, and there's some people that believe that luck is literally the intersection of when, like, everything that you know and experience is also met with opportunity, and being able to understand, like, that moment. What do you attribute, I guess, your success in being able to find those moments?
You know, I think just being, I think realizing that it's an opportunity, and you gotta, like, take it and realize that, you know, you might not get this opportunity again, ever. So might as well take the chance. It's going back to the Trafico thing. The reason I had been thinking about this for years, and literally this guy knocked on the door of a company of a friend of mine, and he used to he did this for 12 years. He did barricades and street signs, and he was out of work. And my buddy calls me. He's like, hey, I got this guy here. You want to do something with him? I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, so let's do it. And literally we incorporated it, and we started a company, and off we went and running. But you know, it was luck that Xander, my partner, knocked on my buddy's door, you know, and shit like that. So, you know, it's you gotta be willing to take advantage of the situations and realize that they're not gonna come often, you know, and losing and failing sucks. And like we talked about earlier, I felt embarrassed when I was fired. Like that feeling is a tough pill to swallow. But, unfortunately, like if you're not failing, you're not really trying.
That's right, man.
I'm
a believer in that.
You gotta failing is just part of it. I fail so many times every single day on so many different things, but you just take them and you move on and you try to figure out how to get better. But going back to your question, you just got to take advantage of the opportunity, man, when it's presented.
And and so now the question I have is whose idea was it to start implementing greens shakes and acai bowls and health foods, and then of course there's you have a great beer selection at your locations. So whose idea was to implement that? Because that's my favorite part.
Dude,
that's my favorite
crunch.
part.
You guys changed the world in Miami when you started putting paleo crunch.
Let me go to the healthy component. The healthy component starts because of that. I'm CrossFitting, and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to the CrossFit Games.
Dude, don't get it twisted. Mike was one of the fire breathers in the classroom. He was like always
but like an early inceptor, like fire breather, like before anything really counted. When 155 pounds is heavy. I look at the other day. I was watching some of your guys' shit and like on your channel, your YouTube channel, and like you guys did a workout or something, and I was like watching that. I was like, I can't even fucking pretend to even miss doing like a clean and jerk or like a deadlift or any of that shit. And then like the weight, and then I'm like, man, I used to pick up like 225, like it was like that was like the warm up. Now I'm like, I literally feel like my body would like explode if I like picked up like 135. I'm here like doing Pilates like a chick in my backyard. Like, and I feel like I'm getting a hell of a workout, and you guys are throwing weight around like if it's cool. But dude, going back to, so I'm CrossFitting, I'm like, and people are like, they're looking for paleo products. And this was like, I think Jesus Christ said, hey, CrossFitters need to eat paleo, and like everybody went crazy trying to find paleo shit. And
you couldn't find it anywhere. It's not like how it is now.
So exactly. So whatever, I Googled paleo shit, and there was this guy out of like Philadelphia that was getting like inner city kids that were in trouble to like package his shit. I was like, this guy's genius. He's getting free labor and he's fucking tapping the paleo market. So I started buying his shit. It was super expensive. The guy wouldn't give me a break on anything. And he would, I had to pay for shipping, everything. So I started selling it, and I started realizing, these people want healthy shit and people want healthier options. So we started doing it, and I started growing that business a lot, and I blew out a whole corner of the store, and then we built the juice bar, the smoothie bar, we started cold pressing juices, which was a whole fucking, so that was the other thing. I was like, oh, I'm going to be the next Hugo Fresh. So we started literally.
Lucky you're not.
No. I quickly, it's funny because it's not funny, but when I started that business of making juices, I remember telling somebody, I was like, this business is unsustainable. I said, there's no way a juice business bar alone will make any money and be able to keep making money because the margins were nothing. So whatever, long story short, and then my brother, let me premise this by saying I do not drink any beer. I don't drink really anything. I've really never been a drinker. And if I drink, it's like tequila on the rocks and that's it. My brother is a craft beer dork. Like literally the beer dork of the beer dork of all time is my brother. And
is he younger than you or older than you?
No, he's younger. He's younger. So my brother graduates college, and he's like, my parents are like, hey, you got to give this guy a job. I'm like, what? He's like he's 7 years younger than me.
Okay.
And I'm like, no. And they're like, yes, he needs a job. I was like, fine, whatever. You can come work with me at the gas station. I said, all right. Dude, I literally put this kid at the fucking cashier, like, cleaning toilets. Like, he literally worked from the bottom. But it was, it was a good lesson for him. But at the same time, he's the one that started with the craft beer shit. And he's like, hey, we got to do craft beer. We got to do craft beer. I said, all right. I was like, I gave him a rack. I said, here's one rack. Order some craft beer. Dude, we went from one rack to today. Like, it's our largest segment and fastest mover and biggest mover in all of our stores is craft beer. So
which is what you're delivering. You're delivering it now with this whole situation.
We're gonna move to delivering the craft beer because people just can't get enough of it. I always tell myself, this is the year that craft beer is gonna be. Everybody's gonna be over it. It's a fad, and it keeps growing. It keeps growing, and it's stabilized. It wasn't as wild as it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it's still an incredible business for us. So man, that's kind of where, it's an interesting because like my brother hates working out. My brother doesn't do anything healthy. So the store is kind of divided like into two evils, the healthy side and then the dark side. So no, man, it's worked out. My brother doesn't own any of the business, but he acts like he owns everything, so it works in my favor. He's like the face. I try to stay behind the scenes as much as possible. But yeah, man, it's kind of it's worked. It's worked for us. I fight with him all the time. He has no idea about cash flow. So it's a constant battle. But it's working with family. You know how it is. So
yeah. So now and so with that, I think it's phenomenal. First of all, and I love your logo, by the way. So I don't know whoever designed that. Mad props to them. And I definitely, if you still have any hats in your inventory, I definitely want one.
Oh yeah,
just throwing that out there
right now. Definitely come by.
Man. Yeah, I will definitely
order some beer online and I'll drop it off.
Okay, perfect. So now I just want to shift gears for a second because here I'm scrolling through Instagram one day, and one of our mutual friends, his name's George also actually, and we I come across this post that I see Mike Mendez at an event at FIU. This is like a few, I don't know, this was recent, very recent, something
like
about the baseball program. What's your involvement currently with FIU, and what keeps you going back to be involved with FIU?
So I went to FIU undergrad and graduate school. I played baseball there, as I said. I was fortunate. I sat on the board. I was on the board of directors for the university for 10 years. I termed out about 2 years ago. So I oversaw with the board. We oversaw anything that had to do with the endowment, and so we're the ones who did all that world of the foundation aspect of the university, which is, I don't know if a lot of people understand how the endowment works or whatever, but we basically would subsidize a lot of everything in the university through the endowment. So on top of that, I oversaw, as my role from there, I oversaw the athletic department. So I oversaw, like, as a foundation board member, as a director, I oversaw the trustees and athletics, and then also the law school. So those were kind of the two things that I sat on specifically. But going back, I don't know if you know this story, Carlos, but when I was at Westminster in 1996, my junior year, my uncle was one of the Brothers to the Rescue pilots that was shot down. It was what, 20, almost 25 years ago, 24 years ago. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, that happened my junior year. I still remember like it was yesterday. I was in my Westminster baseball uniform, sitting at Coral Gables Ford, because my dad and my mom made a deal with me, and like if I had a good game on that Saturday, they would buy me a car. And I was like, perfect, you know. So I had a good game. So we were at the Ford dealership, and I'm sitting there. I'm about to get my Ford Explorer. I've been dying for. And, you know, I'm a 16-year-old fucking punk, you know, a brat. And so whatever, I'm about to get this car, and we're sitting at this dealership, and I'm sitting in the waiting room with my mom. My dad's trying to do the whole paperwork, wheeling and dealing, you know, bullshit. And on the TV, I still remember Channel 7, they're like, oh, something about Brothers to the Rescue planes missing. You know, I see my mom literally like falls off her chair. This is her brother, her only brother,
wow.
her only brother.
Oh,
I
man.
honestly wasn't putting two and two together yet. And finally she like, I'm like, what's going on? She's like, your uncle was flying today. I was just like, oh. And so we literally ran from there to the hangar in Opa-locka Airport. And literally it was the longest night of my life. Not obviously because it was more that it was the unknown. Like we didn't know what the hell had just happened. We didn't understand the severity of it. We didn't understand the magnitude of how much our lives were going to change from that single moment. And again, I was only 16 years old, so I was incredibly naive of what the fuck was happening, and what an international presence this was going to become. So, you know, what's even crazier about that day is that as we're driving to the hangar, I'm driving my mom to the hangar. She's obviously freaking out. She's trying to get a hold of my grandmother, get a hold of my grandfather, and what the hell, you know, this is like like really everybody having a cell phone, you know. So literally the day before that, on that Saturday at school, that Friday at school, I got in a fist fight with Yuva Abadi. I don't know if you remember this.
I was 3 feet away, bro.
So I get in a fight with Hugo.
One of our
split
classmates.
his head open. You know, I don't tell my parents anything, obviously. But on that drive, I'm like, let me take the opportunity that she's distracted.
Oh, no.
My mom,
No,
hey,
you didn't.
Yeah.
What a great sense of timing you have. Way to read a moment.
I was like, hey, Mom, let me tell you something. You know, and it's crazy. I still had my uniform shirt in my book bag in the car, and it was covered in Hugo's blood. And I was like, I got in a fight at school, and, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just want to let you know, whatever. I was like, she's never going to remember this, which she never fucking did. But yeah, I mean, that shows you how fucking tone deaf I was of what the hell was going on. Oh man,
wow,
you know, I remember that, and the other thing I remember was great. Like, so finally, like, it's like 1 a.m. Literally, this hangar is like covered with FBI agents, all sorts of police, the news, the media. I'm still in my baseball uniform, and I was like, I tell my mom is like, go to your grandmother's house and take a shower and come back. So I walk out, and Rick Sanchez, I don't know if you guys remember Rick Sanchez.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my God. So this guy's like, sees me as like, you know, the sacrificial lamb. He's like following me to my car. And I still remember his question was, what's the mood like in there? I'm like, I look at this guy, I'm like, you fucking serious? I was like, what do you think? Like, everybody's just having a party? Like, what kind of question is that?
What the fuck do you think?
Yeah. I was like, I'm tone deaf. This motherfucker's fucked up. I was like, you know, so, you know, but yeah, man, you know, I kind of like, so going back, you know, the whole thing with my family, we become very involved in international stuff and human rights issues. So that kind of catapults my family starts a nonprofit, Carlos Costa Foundation, which eventually, when I got old enough, I started to head up. And when I started heading it up, I got involved in a lot of stuff via the FIU channel. So FIU's law school was getting off the ground. So I saw there was a great opportunity for us to start the human rights immigration clinic. So there's a human rights immigration clinic at the law school at FIU that's named after my uncle. So there, anybody who has any immigration issues or human rights violations will be represented by the students and the faculty member that runs it, free of charge. So that's kind of something that we spearheaded there. We also spearheaded within the other families a bunch of different scholarships that are endowed for, I think now we've endowed over like $3.5 million. Collectively, I think between our family and the other families, we've given FIU about $5 million in different grants and things throughout the years. So that's kind of how my involvement got in as far as in the foundation of the university got involved. And then obviously I played baseball. It's always been close to my heart. And, you know, this opportunity arose for me to be able to name the locker room. And nothing, man. So George Corton, you know, presented me the opportunity, and it was cool, man. I was able to do that. But, you know, luckily and fortunately enough, my wife was behind the idea, and, you know, because we had to stroke a big check to do that. It wasn't like because I had an amazing career at FIU and they were going to name a locker room. It was like, no, motherfucker, you're going to pay for this. So yeah, man, I was able to do that, and it was cool, man. It was cool. It's great. You know, it's great to be able to take my kids back and they can see that and the locker room named after me, and, you know, I can, you know, if all shit falls apart in life, I can always say I did one little thing right there, and they can always find my name on that wall. So it was cool, man. It was cool. It was definitely a real cool experience.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Well, I would say you've done a lot of things right, man.
Yeah, we try.
So yeah. So that's cool, man.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So you're 40. When did you turn 40? I
turned 40 June 22nd of last year.
June 22nd.
So last year, when I turned 40, I have a little place in Colorado in Snowmass. So for my 40th, I took all my friends and my family to Snowmass, to Colorado, to spend a week with me over there. So I put everybody up in different hotels and whatever over there, and it was a great time. So our mutual friend Javi, day one, we decide we're gonna go downhill mountain biking, and whatever, we go downhill mountain biking. The first run, everybody was great. You know, Javi is a big pussy, so, you know, he's going down the bike, like sitting on his ass as slow as possible, whatever. So second run down, he grows a little bit of balls, whatever. Long story short, he ended up in the hospital for about 2 days right after that ride. He broke his collarbone, fractured I don't know how many ribs, punctured a lung. No, the guy was big time. So, but yeah, that was my 40th, man. It was a great trip. Outside of how he fucking himself up, it was a great trip to take everybody out to it's our little escape. So we love to spend time over there as a family, and it's cool, man. So my parents had never been to altitude like that, so that was interesting to watch them basically kind of sit there and drown because they couldn't breathe. But it was cool. It was cool seeing snow in June. Was definitely life-changing for them. So, but it was cool, man. It was cool.
Nice.
So that was my awesome. 40th.
Are you enjoying being in your 40s?
You know, I forget all the time. You know, I forget, except in the mornings after I work out and my body is creaking and my knees are all out of whack. You know, I forget that I'm 40. I don't know if you know this, but I had my second open heart surgery about 2 years ago. So that was probably.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I said to myself, if he brings it up, I don't know, because.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Now I have a book
Yes.
to take with my podcast partner. You knew that one of our guests had not one, but 2 open heart surgeries, and you're like, I'm gonna wait for him to bring it up.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't want to assume that it was
laws.
okay.
Oh, that's right. He's a clinician, so HIPAA. Got it.
HIPAA.
Oh, see, I'm the tacky one here. Oh my God, you had 2 open heart surgeries.
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
Mike saved my ass on that one.
What?
I had my first one when I was 5, and I mean, whatever. It's not whatever. Obviously, if my daughter had open heart surgery and she's 5 now, I think I would literally drown myself in a pool. That would be incredibly impactful for me. So
Sure.
I can't imagine for my parents what the hell they went through. Mind you, this was no Google at that time. There's nothing to like. You're literally a doctor's coming out and like, yeah, your son needs to have heart surgery. You're like, okay, there's no like questioning or second guessing at that time. So they fixed my aortic valve. I was actually gonna be the second child in the world that was gonna have the balloon put in. And long story short, they went in there, they were able to fix it, and off I went. But under the premise that I was never going to play like any real sports. That was like kind of like the hook. Whatever. Long story short, I just started playing baseball until I was like 11. And I was begging the doctor, begging, finally let me play. They thought I was going to suck. Well, unfortunately, I didn't suck. And so at some point they were like, you need to stop playing. This is too much pressure. I was like, well, you can't take it away now. So whatever. Life went on. It lasted me from when I was 5 till I was 38 years old. And I needed to basically replace my valve at 38. So now I have a cow valve as my aortic valve. And I had that surgery done in Cleveland at the Cleveland Clinic 2 years ago. And, it was a really different experience this time going into it. Obviously, I was a father. My whole family flew in. It was like 40 Cubans in the waiting room in Cleveland.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah. And
I would love the footage.
Yeah. My best friend Javi went, his wife, his mom, they went, and they spent a week over there in Cleveland with me. And it was so, I was like cool as a cucumber, like, then comes 5 o'clock in the morning, the day of surgery, September 20th. And I'm like, it's 5 o'clock and shit starts hitting me. I get to the OR and they're like, start prepping me, shaving me. And then they're like, all right, you got a couple minutes with your family before we got to take you. I was like, oh, fuck. And like, literally I started like losing my shit. Like I started crying, like uncontrollably. I was like freaking out. I started firing off emails to like friends that weren't there, but they're really close to them, telling them, I know nothing's going to happen, but if it does, I love you. And,
wow,
all this
dude,
shit.
that's insane. Yeah.
It was crazy, like these intense feelings. And, in the last like 5-10 minutes and whatever. And I go into the OR and the doctor's like, yeah, you're nervous, huh? I was like, fuck yeah, I am. And, so I remember telling my wife and telling Javi, I said, listen, the one thing I'll tell you is that when I wake up, if I'm still on the ventilator, please tell them to put me back under because I'm claustrophobic and I will lose my shit. And that was like my biggest thing I was super nervous about is waking up and still being on this breathing tube. Well, whatever. I woke up, I was on the fucking breathing tube. Nobody listened to me. I got this blowing into my mouth. I'm trying to breathe against it. I'm freaking out. Well, fortunately, like, Javi spent the night with me, which was interesting. He spent the entire night with me. He didn't sleep, and he stayed in there with me and like fighting for me because like I was in so much pain, and I really didn't realize how much pain I was gonna be in, and because my morphine thing wasn't working. So he's there fighting. But what was crazy is that a girl next to me had the same surgery. She was the same age, 38, and she died. next to me.
God,
And
dude.
like
Like
I
Oh
in
can
my
recovery?
gosh, dude.
in recovery post
Oh my
surgery.
God.
And like, you know, so I didn't know what was happening because Javi was kind of trying to shade it from me. And like, you know, I was obviously in and out of it. And he told me like about a week later, as I was like recovering and stuff like that, he said, you know, that girl next to you didn't make it. And like, I was like, what? He's like, yeah, and look, crying and crying. I couldn't, you know, that was one of the hardest things was post surgery was like getting a hold of my emotions. And like, I would cry for anything. Like, I was just a fucking wreck. And, you know, emotionally, mentally, I definitely went through a phase of depression. You know, very quickly, I realized it. My wife realized it real quick too. And she's like, she can tell that I was getting really depressed. So like, we flew home as fast as we could because I needed to get home. I needed to like change my where I was at. I needed to get out of the hospital, a hotel room. You know, I needed to get off narcotics. I was like fucking, you know, like sweating like a pig everywhere. And finally, as soon as I got home and I saw my kids and like that whole switch changed, like I immediately got better and like mentally got better real fast. And you know, I was, you know, walking. So I went from like walking literally like 100 steps to walking miles in a couple of weeks to eventually, you know, I took it upon myself and I was like, fuck this, I'm going to run a marathon by the time my year is up. So I did. I ran the Chicago Marathon literally a week after the year of my surgery. So
Fucking A, bro.
yeah.
Holy shit.
And I'm not a runner. Let me tell you that. I'm not a fucking runner. Like,
No, you know
whatsoever.
how I know that? You know how I know that? So this is, okay, so the thing is that you guys know, like, and as admittedly, like, we know each other from back when working out.
Yeah.
And there would do these things where they would, like, have different tests of fitness to, like, rank everybody in the gym to see if you or not. And it was, like,
Leaderboards.
and yeah, and Mike was always going to make the team, right? Like, he's been very, very fit. But one of these tests that we had to run was like, I don't know if it was like a 5K for time or whatever. And all I knew was like, if I just stay like one step behind Mike the entire way, I could hold on and maybe catch him and have a good score. But Mike can't run apparently, and I didn't know that. And so when I beat him, I was like, I beat Mike Mendez in a 5K run.
I'm a sprinter. And the sprint better be like 50 yards.
Yeah,
like,
for sure, dude. For sure.
Dude, I'm like literally,
Dude.
I'm 5'8" on a good day, depending what sneakers I'm wearing, and fucking 200 pounds. I mean, that's a lot of fucking shit to move in like in a small frame. So, you know, but it's crazy is I've actually run 2 marathons, and I was supposed to run now in April the Paris Marathon, April 5th. It was supposed to be actually I'm sorry. Yeah, it was supposed to be this weekend.
Yesterday.
No, yes, you're correct. Yesterday, it was supposed to be yesterday. So now it's actually postponed to October, if that's still supposed is going to happen. But yeah, I mean, you know, training and the whole thing for a marathon, I fucking hate every second of it. Hate it.
Yeah.
Like I literally fight myself to get out of bed to go run, but I do it, and then the day of the race, it's worth it.
Why do you, like, how do you go from I hate every second to it to but I do it? Like that but I do it part that's the part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 26 miles, you say?
That
okay.
makes me so, I get so, I love that part. Like everything about the activity that it is that you're doing is like, no.
Do it
like
anyway.
No,
do it
it's
anyway.
Like it's like the same thing. Like this morning, my trainer was coming to the house, and every time he's about to get to the house, I'm like, fuck, I hope he cancels. Fuck, I hope he cancels. Fuck, I hope he cancels. And then he pulls up, and I'm like, fuck, he's here. And I'm like, fuck. And then like, you know, obviously like I want to work out, but at the same time I don't want to work out, you know, like.
But he has you doing cool shit though.
You
man.
have,
like,
you're a boxer guy, right?
Yeah, Manny. Yeah,
dude, he has you doing some really effective stuff. When you post it on Instagram, you post it on your stories. I'm like, dude, like that's some really good stuff he has you doing.
So I challenge him a lot to basically keep my attention, and that's the only way to keep my attention is to be changing up shit and get like creative. Because if not, I get bored and I'll literally my ADD kicks in and I'm literally on my cell phone and I'm not even paying attention to anything. You know, so that's the type of shit like I need constant change, and especially when working out. So we do a lot of those things like that and a lot of sprinting type works, you know, stuff like that to like just keep my attention. And then, you know, I mix it up with different things every once in a while, like Pilates, and I do camps every once in a while. I don't know if you guys have tried that. But, you know, anything I can to mix it up. But, you know, one of the things I started late, I would say like last year, was working out at 6 a.m. And, you know, I was always a hater about working out in the morning and working out that early. But let me tell you, man, it was a fucking game changer. And that's probably one of the biggest things I did when I turned 40 was start working out at early in the morning. And it gave me so much more energy throughout the day and even throughout the night. And I'm a person too that I don't sleep a lot. I'm good at like between 4 to 5 hours a night. But, you know, it took a lot for me because I was going to bed at 2 a.m, you know, and I was getting up at 5. So I was like really sleeping nothing. You know, so I had to kind of go through that whole phase and start getting used to getting up to work out at 6 a.m. And it was really a game changer. This whole COVID shit is fucking my world up right now. But, you know, hopefully I'll get back into that routine soon. But I will definitely, if whoever doesn't work out in the morning now, and as we get older, I would highly suggest it. It's really a game changer.
Yeah.
As far as energy.
As far as energy, I agree. No, definitely, man. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and you're you know and you're holding it down, you know. George and I are trying to hold it down, you know. We're doing it too, and we're just, you know, whatever gets it done, you know. We're all improvising, you know, in this time, but as long as the fitness gets in, and you know, we're and you know, it's at least on my end, and I think George, maybe for you too, it's been easier to track meals and to, you know, really keep the nutrition part in order, which has been, you know,
it's a huge benefit. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, no, one day is great, and I'm like, I can do this forever, and then literally the next day I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. What have I done my entire life? I'm like, what is going on? What day is it?
What the fuck are we doing?
But wait,
excuse
George,
me, what the fuck is going on? What's going on?
And then the next day I'm like, okay.
But you are a world-renowned powerlifter now. You're like world famous.
Legit.
You and your husband are both like world-renowned powerlifters.
Legit as fuck, man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like real like practical application to being able to deadlift 500 pounds. Other than like maybe the shit starts falling literally apart and you gotta pick heavy shit up, right?
Right.
So we're not there yet. But
still, man, it's crazy. Would you have thought when you started CrossFit 10 years ago at I Am CrossFit and the gate was you're gonna be fucking powerlifting in shows for competition for medals?
No. It was
and
never...
winning. And winning.
No,
he's so fucking strong. George is so fucking strong. It's not even funny, man. Jesus Christ.
That's why I'm so fast.
Huh? But dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, you know, like how life takes you in these crazy twists and turns. And you know, I'm doing Pilates. George is a fucking powerlifter, and Carlos is fucking over here, you know, skinnier like a male model. You know, what the fuck are we gonna do? You know, the world is falling apart.
The world is falling. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So dude, I at least for me, the last question I have is what's going on with 40 and fashion?
Oh no. Okay, I want to clarify Carlos's question with it, like it's your answerable question is Mike Mendez, name your 3 like style icons that you look towards or that influence you the most in in the stuff. Because when you talk about fashion, I think you talk about like just the clothes that you wear, and I like to talk about style, which is more like the vibe that you want to present. And so that's
I definitely would say that
that right there. Yes.
that if I were to pick like 3 guys that I like say, all right, these guys are like, I want to exude who they are. I would definitely say Tom Hardy is one of them. I think he's just a cool as fuck motherfucker. I love Justin Timberlake. I think he's just like another just cool fucking confident dude. You know, I wish I had his confidence when it came to like dancing and singing. And I would say as a third, you know, man, that's a good question. I'm stuck on my third. I definitely like what's this guy? The 007. What's his name?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I think he's another really cool, put together, cool dude. You know that they know who they are. You know, and you know, if you, I'm sure if you look at all 3 of those guys, especially like Tom Hardy and Justin Timberlake, you know, especially Justin Timberlake, you know, look at all his phases of fashion from his, you know, blonde afro to
that denim tuxedo.
Yeah, you know, to today, you know, he's just a cool dude, and you know, and I would definitely say like I try to like emulate, you know, that vibe, and more than anything else, as far as fashion for me, it's become a lot more just casual. You know, I don't fortunately I don't have to wear like nice clothes to work, or I don't have to dress up. You know, I can go in my gym clothes if I want. So that doesn't help in my casual component, but you know, I've been able to find, you know, some like really key, like cool t-shirts that I stick to. They're all plain, you know, like I'm not big into any font these days anymore. Everything is kind of, you know, a lot of denim shirts, denim, anything. So jean jackets. I definitely love being out in Colorado and being able to wear all that shit out there. So
I would definitely characterize your like aesthetic being more West Coast or East Coast.
Yeah, for sure.
Has an LA like sensibility to it, which speaks to your time in Hollywood and like your appreciation for that. So
no, definitely, I definitely love that. There, I think LA is always, you know, ahead of the curve on everything, especially on the food side. So I spend a lot of time actually Instagram stalking different like convenience stores and stores that I want to be like from LA, because they're so ahead of the curve, which sometimes bites me in the ass. You know, we were carrying kombucha 6 years ago and we couldn't fucking find a single person to buy kombucha from us. And like, and now like we can't even keep it on the shelf. But, you know, I'm always looking at the West Coast and New York too, you know, for ideas on all fronts. You know, they're ahead of the curve on a lot of things. So, you know, we live in a little bubble here in Miami.
Yeah.
it's unique. It's completely it's like unique.
For sure, man. There's nothing like it. Everybody always asks me that question, like, would you ever live anywhere else? I'm like, fuck no. Never.
No way, dude.
Never. Never, ever will I live anywhere else besides Miami. You know,
that's right,
and like,
bro. Amen.
No way, man. I can go anywhere in the world and I love it. And I think I've been some of the most beautiful places in the world. Dude, there's no place like home in Miami. As fucked up as this place is sometimes, it's still, you know, it's home, and the culture and the weirdness and the funniness about it just makes it home, you know?
Yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, through and through.
Well, man, I really
honestly
enjoyed having you on, man. This is amazing. I really, really enjoyed, you know, hearing you out, hearing everything. You know, we learned more about you, and man, that's awesome. Thanks for being on, dude, for real.
Nah, dude, it was awesome. I'm honestly, you know, I told you this at Javi's party when I saw you, is, you know, hats off to you guys for having the balls to do this, and to get this off the ground and running. You know, I'm a huge podcast fan, period, on all podcasts. But, you know, the fact that I know two people that started a podcast makes me really excited, at the same time very jealous. You know, on a good thing. I wish you guys incredible success in this endeavor, and I think you guys are onto something great. And yeah, man, whatever you guys need moving forward, anytime, please feel free to reach out, and I'll help you with whatever I can. But I think you guys are really onto some good things. And I feel really honored and privileged, as my wife told you, Carlos. You made my year when you asked me to be on this. So, you know, I've been like a little kid all day waiting for your text. Oh, is he gonna text me? Is he gonna text me? Is he gonna text me? When's it coming? You know?
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, man. Not to mention, I really value being able to reconnect, man. And thanks for the kind words. We're definitely gonna have you on again. You know, where we can talk some more shit, and you know, it'll be fun. So tell everyone where they can find you for, you know, with everything, anything.
I'm always at the back of the gas station at 32nd and Coral Way. So if you see a black car parked on the side, I'm usually in the back office back there. Just ask for me. You don't need a passcode or anything like that. Just ask for me, and I'll look at the cameras and I'll decide then if I want to come out and say hi to you. But no, I'm usually back there. You can find me on Instagram. You know, I don't even know what my handle is. I think it's Michael Mendez 30. My old baseball number.
We'll put it in the show notes if anything. And also for Mendez Fuel, it's just at Mendez Fuel, I believe, right?
Correct. At Mendez Fuel, you'll find us there, and then whatever, man. You know.
If people want to get delivery to their house, or they want to help out with your meal service, what's the best way for them to contact?
Mendez Fuel, man, on the Instagram. And on our Instagram, you know, somebody's always checking that, and if there's a message there for me, they'll get it to me. And I'm not always on it. I'm actually really never on it, but people are always checking on it. So they'll definitely get it to me. Or on just my personal Instagram, just reach out to me. I don't even know if I'm private. I don't know what the story is. But either way, you know, any one of those, you can always reach out to me. I'll be more than happy, you know, if anybody has any questions, or, you know, if you're going to have from open heart surgery to getting fired to, you know, anything like that, you know, I can definitely give you my 2 cents if you want it.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, bro.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and I appreciate it. And George, it was great seeing you, man. And I know you're big time now with your powerlifting career, and hopefully I'll see you on ESPN throwing kegs in the strongest man competition soon.
When as soon as they launched like the old men's division, I'll be there. The masters division. The masters gay, like 45 and up division.
Yeah.
There's many subcategories.
Yeah. With some possible injuries, not sure, maybe strains. For sure.
Very niche category.
I'm gonna be like, mine is like 5'8" and under, you know, heart surgery, you know, several injuries. That's where I'm gonna compete. So
I love it.
All right, guys.
That's awesome, man.
Have a good night, man. Thank you.
You too, bro. Take care, man.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us, dude. Right.
How great was that?
That was awesome. That was so awesome, man.
I don't know how to get off of this shit.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, don't go anywhere. Let us wrap up. So, Carlos, how can everybody find you on the internet?
They can find me at carlos.escanilla and at Carlos305 Music.
And you can find this podcast available to you now on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher. You can find the podcast and
YouTube,
to all of Michael's businesses and things on Instagram at MOACA Media. Send us email inquiries to moacamedia@gmail.com. And you can watch this entire episode in live streaming. No, not live streaming, on video, on YouTube.
Yeah, there's the pickle again. Woo!
So I'll do my stretches before I go to sleep. And I'll be good to go. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
All right, guys, take care. Bye. Bye.